Wow, Christmas wreaths on a budget. Who knew you could make something this attractive from crap from the dollar store? Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is my weekly vlog for November the 26th, 2018. I was just about to say 2019. Reason being is I was working on something that's in January, so I've already got my mind set on the next year. But anyways, so what's up this week? Well, you can see behind me, I'm getting in the Christmas mood. These are the Christmas wreaths that I've made for my mother to help decorate her nursing home room. Taking those over on Tuesday along with the bed rug that I created for her as well. And I did do a video about making these, so you can check that out. And I believe I have the link for that below. I'm just checking here. Yes, I do. It's called Bland Designs Christmas Wreaths on a Budget, because believe it or not, those are all made from dollar store items. So if you're interested in checking that out, then the link is below. And what else has been going on current projects? Well, I carry on with my modern quilt class. The quilt's starting to shape up pretty nice. I'm not going to show it to you yet. It isn't sewn together yet. It's still in pieces or partial pieces. So I think after this week's class, I will probably have the quilt top done, and then I can show that to you probably next week. Similarly with the Sydney bag that I'm making, which Quilter calls a purse, I call a satchel. Let's meet in the middle and call it a merce. It's a fairly complicated bag to create, at least I'm finding it fairly complicated, but that's why I took the class in the first place, because I wanted the challenge. I want to learn, it's got multiple zippers, so I want to learn how to put in zippers in various ways. It has snaps, it has pockets, all that kind of good stuff. I think it's going to look great when it's done, although I am struggling with my fabric choice. I'm using denim, and I don't find denim the easiest thing in the world to sew with. However, I wanted something that was durable, so that's why I'm making it out of denim. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. Why I'm making it out of denim. So anyways, those projects, and what else? Oh yes, I've been working on some Christmas placemats, and I did an Idiot Quilter episode about this. It's Idiot Quilter episode 33, Embroidered Christmas placemats, and it's listed below. And basically I went to the dollar store and found some cheap placemats. These placemats were $1.50 a piece. I bought 12, and what I'm doing is I'm just embroidering, using my embroidering machine, some simple snowflake designs, and I'm doing them in various colors. And after the machine, I'm all finished putting the snowflakes on them right now. I'm just trying to get a hold of another one here. There's another one. And then I go around it with a decorative stitch as a border. And I do show the whole process of how I made these in that video, the Idiot Quilter video. And I'm almost done. I've got about 6 more to get the border done, and I'm going to use those, at least my plan is to use them on Christmas Day for Christmas dinner, sort of to dress up the table. Will they wash? Not really sure about that, but I'm not really concerned about it, because if someone spills something on one of the placemats, it gets stained, I'll throw it in the washing machine. If it doesn't wash, no big loss. It was only $1.50 and my time into it, but I'm not too concerned about that. So that's what I've been making. And yeah, what else? I've got some other projects for Christmas. I'm still making Christmas napkins, and I got to get on with that because they take a while to make because of the embroidery. And I'm making a I decided to do a couple of Christmas socks and put some candy, some chocolate candy canes and that in it for our great nieces. They're just young. They're, oh, that's interesting. Where's the light coming from? Did you see that? I don't know what that was. That's really weird. Maybe it's a reflection of something. Some little thing went streaking down behind here. Or is it just me? Okay, never mind. Back to what I was talking about. So I'm making these Christmas stockings. And for these girls, they're just little. They're, I don't know, 8, 7 years old, 6 years old, something like that. Just in case they come here on Christmas Day for dinner with their parents and their grandparents. And their grandparents is Walter's sister and brother-in-law. And I thought it might be nice to give them a little something. You know, kids at Christmas time, they love getting their gifts and things like that. Gets them all excited. So, however, you would think, there it goes again. What is that? Did you see that? Is it just me? Okay, never mind. Okay, this is really weird. I don't know what that is that's going past the screen. But, okay, just very strange. So, boy, it doesn't take much to get me off topic, does it? Squirrel. All right, so I'm having trouble making these socks. Socks are not hard. It should be very easy to make these things. I don't know why I'm struggling. I've already made 2 and they look more like a boot. So I'm looking for other patterns and I'm giving this a try. I am determined I'm going to get them made though, and I will, and once they're done, I will show them to you. Okay, let's move on here. Okay, YouTube channel of the week this week is something a little different because everybody's now at Black Friday is over. People are getting ready for Christmas, you know, in the mood for that. We put up our Christmas decorations yesterday. And when I say we, I mean Walter. And I think he did it yesterday because the neighbors on either side of us had put up theirs. So, you know, he didn't want to feel left out, you know, keeping up with the Joneses, all that kind of thing. So I thought that it might be interesting to post a playlist of DIY Christmas ideas for decorating, for home decor, for gift giving, that kind of thing. So here's my review of that. So this week on the YouTube channel of the week, I have a series of playlists about doing DIY Christmas decorations and gifts. I find at this time of the year, to get me in the mood for Christmas, I need to make things. And I'm never sure what to make. So I just did a search for Christmas ideas, and I found all kinds of playlists. Some are very elaborate DIYs for making home decor, Christmas decorations, that kind of thing. Others are on a budget, going to your Dollar Tree or your dollar store to pick up items to create your Christmas and holiday decorations. Also, there's all kinds of ideas for making gifts on a budget or even more elaborate gifts at Christmas time for your friends and family. For those people that are hard to buy for, do a search. You're going to find all kinds of neat and unique ideas. So if you want to get into the Christmas mood, and if you're feeling a little stumped for ideas for Christmas decor or for Christmas gifts, why not just do a search for Christmas DIYs in YouTube? So you'll find the link to that page that I just talked about in the show notes below, along with the latest Stephen and Walter Live. Now, I have to tell you about something about Stephen and Walter Live this past week. Those of you that are watching it on the rebroadcast, you might be a little confused. There's 2 parts. Why are there 2 parts, you may be asking? Well, for some reason, in the last few Stephen and Walter Lives, we get about 3/4 of the way through the show, and we freeze. The visual freezes. We still have sound, but the video freezes, and we don't know why. And Walter's been doing some research about this. It has to do with things like the buffer, they call it, you know, filling it up or whatever. Other people have had this problem too. Nobody seems to have a clear answer as to why this is happening and what we can do about it. One person suggested that before we start the broadcast that we turn off the iPad, because that's what I do the broadcast through, shut it right down completely, and then reboot it. And we tried that this week, and that did not work. Walter thinks maybe we have too much stuff on the iPad. There's not enough room on it anymore, so maybe it's cutting out because of that. So later today, I'm going to go in and delete a whole pile of crap that I don't need on the iPad. We really don't know why it's doing this. We don't know if it has anything to do with our internet connection, because we have been having some problems with our internet connection, to be quite honest about it. And to the point where I think I'm going to have to phone the provider and make arrangements for them to come out and check our system. Because we pay big bucks for unlimited, uploading, downloading, the whole bit, close to $100 a month for our internet service. So if it is them, if they're throttling us back, which they have been known to do, then I'm not happy camper about that. I pay the big bucks. I want big results, okay? And we'll look into a few other things. We're even thinking about trying to, instead of doing the live through our iPad, do the live through our iPhone. Because actually our iPhones have larger memory capacity than our iPads do. I don't know. So you're going to find that this week we got cut off. So I stopped the broadcast and restarted it. And so now there's two parts. And I've labeled those on the in the playlist so you can see everything. But that's quite annoying, okay? Annoying to me, it's probably annoying to you. So we are working on the problem. Don't have any other answers at this point in time. Just please bear with us until we figure this out. I mean, it's kind of like how for the longest time our videos were in reverse when we were doing them live. That problem has been solved, not by us, I think by YouTube. And that's the other possibility here, that maybe this problem is a YouTube problem and has nothing to do with us. But I don't know. Nobody ever knows, because YouTube is not very helpful with any of these kind of problems. In fact, they just remain absolutely silent. They don't answer your emails, nothing. That's just the way they are. They're too big for their britches, I guess. They blame it all on user error as opposed to themselves, you know. So anyways, we'll see. So that's why Stephen and Walter this week's in two parts. And speaking of Stephen and Walter, this coming week, Stephen and Walter Live will be on 1 hour later, because it's the first Sunday of the month and I do an art journal class. So I won't get home until about 4 o'clock. So by the time we get the equipment set up and away we go, it will be an hour later. So Stephen and Walter this Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as opposed to 4 p.m. Okay, so as I said, all the links are below, and also there's a link below for the book that I'm going to talk about today. And that brings us to what's pissing me off this week. Nothing. Can't think of a thing that's, well, yeah, no, there is. I just thought about it. I knew there had to be something, right? So, I use dental floss. I've been using dental floss for years. As you know, I'm very concerned about my teeth in terms of I would like to keep them, and I don't want them to look ugly. And because I came from a family where my parents' teeth are just horrible. So that's my inspiration. So I use dental floss, and I use a particular type of dental floss. It's by Procter & Gamble's the main company, but it's under the title of Oral-B. And I'm sure everybody's heard of Oral-B. They're a large subsidiary of Procter & Gamble. They make, you know, they make all kinds of dental products. And one of their products they make is dental floss called Pro Health, Oral-B Pro Health Dental Floss. Glide, I think, is their title for it. And I really like this dental floss. I've tried other flosses, but this one is just, it's smooth, you know, it doesn't get caught up in things. It's good dental floss. And it still is good dental floss, but the packaging lately has sucked. It comes on a roll like all dental floss does, and I buy it in a 6-pack at Costco because they're the best price. Because actually, I don't know if you bought dental floss lately, but it can get pretty pricey. At least it does for us. Like this particular brand usually costs you around $3 or $4 for a small package. So I get 6 of them for about $12 at Costco. Well, they have this tendency right now to tangle up inside the casing. You can pop the casing open, and it's a very simple mechanism. They're just on a spool, kind of like a spool of thread. So I try to untangle it, and you can't find the end of it. And when you do, you get this loop, and it just shreds. I don't know why, but it's just it's game over. You just can't rescue it. This has happened to me out of the 6 packages in there so far. I'm on the 3rd one. The first 2 both did this. And it's a waste, for one thing, of both money and of the dental floss. So I'm a little bit annoyed about this. So I wrote to Oral-B. They had their website, contact information on the packaging, so I sent them a message. And I explained to them what I basically explained to you, what was happening. I threw the first one out. I saved the second one, however, just in case they want proof of this. I thought about taking a short video and sending it to them, but it didn't look like they had a facility that would handle that. So anyways, I sent them this message about the middle of last week, and of course you get back the standard message that says, thank you for contacting us, blah, 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 you're important, blah, 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 and we'll get back to you in, 2, 3, 5 business days or whatever. Well, I haven't heard anything from them yet, and I'll give them till the middle of the week, and if I still don't hear anything from them, I'm going to send them another message. And I will continue to send them the same messages until I get a bloody reply from them. Now, the next message I send to them, I may up it a little bit. I sometimes like to use YouTube as a, as a negotiating device. Companies are very much aware that people do reviews of products. Now, I would probably say to them that I have a YouTube channel and I review products, and if I don't hear anything from them, that I will be, a little bit ticked off, and I will make sure that my viewers know that I'm ticked off with this particular product. I won't tell them that I'm not one of those YouTubers that has like millions of viewers and subscribers, because if they knew that, well, they might just laugh at me because I'm not even anywhere near close to that, as you well know. But I might use that as leverage. I don't know if it'll work or not, or what. What I want is an answer, and I don't want a pat answer. Actually, what I want them to do is replace it. I'm not looking for freebies, but I'm looking to, I paid money for it. I could probably take the package back to Costco, but the point is, so sure, get another one and have the same problem. I don't know. I said that in my message to them, maybe this is a bad batch, because I've really never had this kind of problem with their product before. And I love their product. It's the best as far as I'm concerned. And I told them that, so I'm not just complaining for the sake of complaining. I'm complaining to let them know that I think there's a problem. And if nobody tells them, how can they react to it and do something about it? Also, I think a company like this that's so big and has so many products out there already, I think they want to keep their reputation in good standing. So if I was in their place, I would write back an email, a reply to my message, and tell me how terribly sorry we were as a company that they ran into this problem and they're going to look into it. And in the meantime, here's a replacement for it, or here's a coupon to, get a freebie or something. I don't know. I just think that's really good PR to do something like that. Like I said, I'm not looking for anything free, but I'm looking for something that I've already paid for to be replaced, to work. So we'll see. And that's just what pisses me off about these huge companies. They don't care about their customers or about quality control. I'm just one little person. They're a huge multi-million-dollar company. It'll be very easy for them just to dismiss me as some crank. Because what can I do to them? Nothing. It's dental floss. But we'll see. We'll see. So if I get a reply from them or whatever happens, I'll let you know in future vlogs to see what happens. Okay, so that's why I'm pissed off at this week. It's not the biggest thing in the world, but whatever. Okay, moving on. New products. Well, I did get a couple of things. I haven't taken them out of the plastic yet, but of course, Tim Holtz a month or so ago came out with the last of his 12 colors in Distress Oxide inks. And I love Tim Holtz, and I have a lot of his stuff. And so, of course, I had to have the last 12 colors to complete my set, my collection. And I have basically a standing order with my local scrapbooking store on anything Tim Holtz. They know his stencils, his inks, they just automatically order everything for me. It's actually getting a little bit out of hand because I haven't used my other oxide inks all that much. They're a great product. I love them. I like them better than the original Distress inks. I just don't do mixed media as much as I used to, as you well know, because I'm into, you know, this kind of thing. So, anyways, I've got the 12 colors here, and they've still got the packaging on them, and maybe later in the week I'll get inspired to try them out. I ordered this months ago and forgot that I had ordered it. It's his Distress brushes. What's he call them? Blending brushes. Distress blending brushes. You use them with the inks. They're supposed to work really well through stencils and things like that. I ordered these back, I think, in the summer. It's taken this long to get them. Now, not the fault of the store I go through to get these. It's the fault of the distributor that they deal with. And probably for that distributor, there's probably a problem with the company that make these. So, you know, and that's Ranger. I have heard that there's some problem. Ranger, you know, they put out a new product, but they never have enough. All Michaels, Joann's, Hobby Lobby, whatever, all these other ones order them all too through this one distributor. And basically, I'm dealing with a mom and pop store, and mom and pop stores get basically put on the back burner until all orders are filled for the big giants like Michaels and Joann's, that kind of thing. But anyways, they came. You can see I have not taken them out of the package yet. Guess that's something I've got to work on, see how they work out. Maybe I'll do a video showing what I do with these. I really don't know what I'm going to do with these, but I have them. So those were two new things that I bought this week. So anything else? Nope, that's about it for that. So let's move right into the book review. Now, last week, the book that I showed you was about origami and paper folding and how you could use that in your crafting. Well, this one's probably an extension of that, called Paper Pop-Up. And it says on here, 40 dynamic designs for surprising cards and gifts. Actually, I forgot I had this book too. You can see it's in pretty much mint condition, so that means I haven't really used it much. But you know, if you're interested in making pop-up cards or interactive pages in your scrapbook albums or things like that, this book, I think, has lots of great ideas. It's fully illustrated, great shots of each of the projects, good description of how to do them. If you've got kids, you know, or you're an elementary school teacher or something like that, or even a high school teacher for that matter, or you work with children in some craft area, I think this would be a valuable reference guide because kids love things that pop up, okay? So, you know, if you've never made a pop-up form, you might want to check this out. But doing a basic pop-up is not that hard. However, this goes beyond just the basics. It shows you some very elaborate kinds of things. So I recommend this book if you're interested in making, you know, the 3D pop-up kind of things. Now, what about the cost of this? It comes from, who wrote it? Dorothy Wood is the name of the author. And on Amazon, well, let's see, originally it listed for, in Canadian dollars, $26.99, US dollars, $19.99. There's a big difference right there. So I went on to Amazon to see what they're selling it for, and they do have it, and they're selling it for $13.79 Canadian. And I saw it listed used for $1.90 Canadian. So, you know, I would definitely buy this as a used book because, like I said, I've hardly used it. It's got great ideas, but are you going to make pop-ups all the time? If you are, maybe you want the new version, a brand new version of it. But, you know, I think the used one would work just as well. And for $1.90, can you go wrong? Not really. Of course, I'm not sure what they're charging for shipping. That may put the price way up again. Anyways, that's the link for that book is in the show notes below. Okay, so what about inspiration? Well, since I've been doing a lot of making Christmassy things using my sewing machine and that kind of thing, I thought, well, you could extend that. Why not make your own Christmas decorations? If you've got a sewing machine, or even if you don't, look in your stash for, you know, scrapbooking papers, embellishments, things like that that you have laying around, and you know, you can make a lot of Christmas decorations for that. Now, I told you, those wreaths behind me, everything that's on them, and including the wreaths themselves, all came from the dollar store. Cost a lot less to make them, didn't take long to make, than actually buying one that's already done. You know, like you can go to Michael's and you can spend a small fortune on Christmas wreaths. And basically the stuff that's in those is just plastic too. So, you know, make it yourself or pay big bucks at Michael's, even with the coupon. But I'm sure there's lots of stuff in your stash that you could throw together. Now, for example, tags for Christmas gifts. You know, I always think a tree looks really pretty when you've got wrapped gifts underneath it. And some people really love to wrap gifts and do, you know, fantastic job on them. But you can dress up a plain wrap package with a tag. You know, yes, you can buy at the dollar store little tags that say from to, all that kind of stuff that, you know, you get 3,000 of them for $1.25 or something like that. But with a few little supplies you have laying around, you could make your own tags, and you could sew them too. You don't have to be an expert sewer. Any sewing machine will go through paper. You just take some scraps of fabric and just collage them onto a tag, a shipping tag, for example, that you can buy by the hundreds for like $5 at a place like Staples or wherever. And you don't have to have sewing skill for this. Just stitch it across, bang, you've got it. Put several pieces on, try some of the decorative stitches on your sewing machine, and away you go. And you've got one-of-a-kind, unique looking gift tags, which people may want to hang on to after the fact. They make good bookmarks. You know, you could even stick a magnet on the back of a tag, and they could use it as a fridge decoration. So it serves multiple purposes. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't get weighed down by having to spend a fortune on things that you can probably make from what you already have laying around. It's a good way to recycle. It's a good way to use up your stash. And it gives that personal touch to whatever you're doing. And this is kind of related to what I said about the YouTube playlist that I featured this week. You need ideas for how to make things for yourself for Christmas? Go to that playlist that I've listed. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of ideas right there. All of them, and a lot of them are based on doing it all on a budget. So go for it. And I know the dollar stores right now are full of Christmas things. I kind of like them, and I've done a lot of shopping in past years where I just loaded up on all kinds of Christmas items from the dollar store, and that's why I still have a lot of them to make a wreath and things like that, because I just pull them out every year and see what I can do with them. So, you know, it's an idea. It's inspiring. Could be fun. If you got kids, grandkids, maybe get them involved in the process of making it too. It's a good family thing to do. Okay, so that's this week's inspiration. And speaking of that, and talking about sewing Christmas decorations and things, this week, what's in my drawers, I'm going to show you my embroidery designs that I collect and talk a little bit about what I do with them when it comes to Christmas gifts and Christmas decor. So what's in my drawers this week? Embroidery designs. Now, you know that I have a very elaborate sewing machine. It's called a Janome 15,000 Horizon, and it does embroidery. And I have been buying online a lot of embroidery designs lately, but I was getting so many that I didn't know what to do with them in terms of organization. Like, how am I going to find what I've got? The embroidery designs go onto a little thumb drive, and plug into the side of my machine, and then I can go in and see what's there. But a lot of times the embroidery designs don't have a name, they just have a number, and it's very difficult to decide what you have. Now, you do get little pictures of what the design looks like on my screen on the sewing machine, but they are so small and so pixelated that you really can't get a clear vision of them until you open them up on the machine itself. So I have a little free program that allows you to resize embroidery designs, and you can print them out with a specification sheet telling you, the colors that you need and basic information about size and other dimensions. So I organized these into directories on my thumb drive, and I printed out a page for each one so I can see what the design is. Now, I classified these in alphabetical order. So I've got like abstract designs, alphabets, animals, birds, balloons, bat wings. I've got whatever's in there. I actually have 2 large binders right now, and I'm sure it'll grow from there. But now, if I'm looking for a specific design, I can leaf through this. Let's go to Christmas. And here are my Christmas designs. Now, in some cases, I do a test sample of what the embroidery design will look like, and once I've got it stitched out, I just slip it into this folder along with the picture and the specs, and I know exactly what it's going to look like. Also, colors. You'll see these little charts that have been inserted. Get the glare off. What I do is the machine comes up with a suggested color for each segment of the design, but it comes up with a color for a specific type of thread. In this case, Janome thread. But I don't use Janome embroidery thread. I use Floriani. And wouldn't you know it, but this machine will convert Janome color numbers to some other brands of embroidery thread, but it doesn't do it for Floriani. So there are programs, and I have one, that's an app on my phone, that will give me the equivalent in a Floriani thread for a Janome color. But sometimes I just like to pick my own colors. And so I create this little chart, and I write down all the Janome colors that are going to be used in the design, and then I physically go through my drawers of embroidery threads, my Florianis, and I find the colors I want to use, and I write that number down. When I've done the design, once it's been stitched, I just take this little sheet, I cut it so it'll fit, and I put it inside the folder for that particular design. So when I come back to this design some day down in the future, I know exactly what colors I used. So that's how I set up my system. Now you can see there are a lot of designs that I have. Not all of these have I ever printed out. In fact, most of them I have not sewn, not printed, sewn. But I love collecting them. Okay, another thing I need to collect. But by doing it this way, I know exactly what I have. Now, let's talk a little bit about what do you do with all these designs. Well, a lot of people might think that embroidering is just for t-shirts. Well, no. If it's a piece of fabric, you can embroider on anything, pretty much. So, you could be making, well, what I'm doing right now is I'm making Christmas things. So, I've used some of my Christmas embroidery designs to create things like placemats, napkins, napkin rings, runners, table runners, oh, the list goes on, pot holders, tea towels, bath towels, all kinds of gifts that you can personalize for Christmas. I use embroidery designs on some of the blocks in my quilts. I'm just starting to do that as well. What else can you do with embroidery designs? Well, you can create Christmas decorations. There's something called freestanding lace designs that basically are lace that you embroider, but you embroider them onto a water-soluble stabilizer, and then when you get rid of the stabilizer, which also acts like a glue, the residue of it, then you can mold these lace designs so that they become a three-dimensional element. In fact, this coming weekend, or sorry, this past weekend, we did something just like that with an angel. So there are lots of things you can do with an embroidery machine, and this is one of those items that, although pricey, I'm really glad I have it in my drawers. I use it all the time. I find it fascinating to watch the process as it stitches out your design, but even more so, it's just made my quilting and any other kind of sewing go up a few notches, because now I can personalize almost anything. And there's even designs in embroidery that allow you to sew a project together. They're called in the hoop designs. You can even design quilt blocks and stitch out quilt blocks using embroidery designs. So really, if you're thinking about getting an embroidery machine, I think it's a really good investment, as long as you don't just use it for putting a nice little detail on a t-shirt or on a tote bag. There's so much more you can do with it. So that's what's in my drawers this week, embroidery designs. Okay, so events in the past week. Well, update on my mother. Talked about this fairly extensively yesterday in Stephen and Walter Live, so let's not flog a dead horse anymore. My mother had a room change. I guess she complained enough about another lady that was in the room, and rightly so. The lady in the other bed next to her had severe dementia. She was violent. She had attacked my mother, pulled her hair, ran into her with a wheelchair, kind of thing. That's almost funny, but it's not funny. And my mother can't sleep because this woman is screaming and hollering all through the night. So I guess my mother must have complained to the nurses about this, and they found her another bed in another room where there are two other ladies that, according to the nurses, are much more quiet. So she got moved on Friday. That meant I had to contact the service provider for her TV and her telephone and get that all moved over there too. And yeah, if it's not one thing, it's another thing. So everything got moved over. I think she's gotten settled in. We actually popped over on Friday, but she was down having lunch, so we didn't stay. I just wanted to see if all her stuff got moved over to the room. It did. It was piled high. I guess they hadn't had time yet when they moved everything over to put it away. When I talked to her on the weekend, I asked her about that, and she said, well, yeah, they got it put away, but she didn't sound happy with the way they put it away. But then that's just typically my mother. Nothing pleases her. I asked her if her TV and her phone were working okay, and she said they were, and so that was good. I said, so how are your new roommates? Well, one's okay. The other one, well, she's got dementia too, and she just talks all the time to herself and whatnot. And I thought, you know, Mom, you're in a nursing home, and a lot of people in the nursing home have dementia. I mean, this is just the way it is. My mother's one of the lucky ones. She doesn't have dementia. She has her complete, you know, brain there intact. And that probably makes it even worse for her because of that. But what can I do? I've got her on a waiting list to get into a semi-private or a private room, but they have not many of those. And essentially, in order to get one of those, someone's got to die. I mean, that's kind of morbid to say, but I mean, that's the cold, harsh reality of nursing home life. So anyways, that was on Saturday. But she was in a big rush because they were there to take her down when I called to dinner. So it was a short conversation. So I called her yesterday. And she filled me in on more things. But she sounded a little better. Maybe the meds are kicking in. I don't know. Yes, she's on an antidepressant. And they upped her dosage recently on that one. So, you know, at this point, I'm not a pill taker, and neither is my mother, but I'm figuring anything that helps. And anyways, I don't know if it was the pills or what, but she seemed to be in a little better frame of mind than she was when I talked to her the day before. But this is the emotional roller coaster that she puts me on. You know, I want her to be happy, but I can never make her happy because I can't do anything. And this isn't just because of the nursing home. This has been the state of being for me my whole life. 61 years. I could never please my mother. Simple as that. And I'm sure others of you know what that feels like. But anyways, we carry on, and I'm hoping that this will, she says it's kind of squishy in there, it's small. Well, yeah, it's the same size as the room she was moved from, except they placed her in a different spot in this room. She's actually closer to a window, which is kind of nice, but it is a little cramped. And it's especially a little cramped because right now she has both her wheelchair and her walker. She doesn't use the walker, but the physiotherapist wanted me to bring the walker in because they want to try some things with her. And I know that those will come to no avail, but whatever. This is what they want. So if there's any chance that this will make my mother's life better, then I'll do it. But I have a feeling I'll be bringing that walker back home very soon. So anyways, that's my mom right now, and let's move on. I already talked about my quilting classes and the bag making class. The embroidery class this week was much better. You know that I talked about it last week about how frustrated I was getting because we're all crammed into this room. The instructor seems to have her attention divided between a lot of other duties besides just us. And so I was actually prepared for a very frustrating class. Well, 3 people didn't show up for the class, so that made it so we had more room. And I think the instructor, who's also the owner of the store, I think she was frustrated with last week's class too. In fact, I don't think. She told us she was. She was not happy with the way things went. So she gave her staff the order that unless the place was on fire, she was not to be bothered while she was teaching the class. And they were really good. There's only a couple times she got bothered. Of course, there were customers coming into the store who wanted to speak to her, and you know, they just kind of barrel in and away they go. But it was much better. Things had calmed down. We got stuff done. She was much more prepared, the whole bit. So that was good. So, you know, this just goes to show you that she was very much concerned with the quality of our class and the whole bit, and she did something about it. And that's just the kind of person she is, and much appreciated as far as I'm concerned for that kind of thing. So we'll see. Now, 2 of the people who didn't show up were a couple of the guys that were very frustrated, especially one of them last week, and I was not surprised they didn't show up this week. So we'll see if they show up next week. Maybe next week, hopefully everything goes fine, that we're on the right side of the track here for keeping this class going and, you know, with a minimal amount of frustration. And maybe I'll speak to the one guy and say, hey, we missed you last week. Don't blame you, but the instructor got the point and she's been trying to do something about all of that. So, you know, a little bit more reassuring. Okay. And what else did we do this week? Oh, yeah. RMG Exposed, they call it. RMG is Robert McLaughlin Gallery. It's the art gallery we volunteer for, and we were on duty Saturday night because it was their huge fundraiser of the year. It's their most principal fundraiser. It brings in a lot of money, and it's essentially an auction. Local photographers donate their artwork, and it's put up for auction. Now, there's 2 kinds of auctions. There's a silent and a live. The silent auction, there's about 20 pieces or so there with a clipboard, you know, and you look at it and you put what you want to bid for it. And then there's the live auction with an auctioneer. And our job that night was to register paddles, meaning that when people came in, if they wanted to bid on something during the live auction, they were assigned a number. We actually had a space on their program that showed all the artworks up for sale. We put a number on the back of it in big, bold, black magic marker, and during the auction they hold that up as their paddle to say, yeah, they're bidding on this particular work. The bidding got quite frantic at some stages, and part of our job after we registered paddles was to be spotters. Wasn't an easy job because some people were using their paddles like fans. Some had it open to the wrong spot, so they're holding it up. It's a page inside the brochure. We can't see the number. Others of them just sort of give a flick, flick. Okay, I can't, my eyes don't work that fast. And this is a large room in the gallery that this auction's being held in, and, you know, trying to see these numbers. I mean, we wrote them large and bold, but it wasn't easy to spot them. But there were 3 of us spotting. So the whole idea of that was, you know, we compared notes at the end of the auction to make sure we're all on the same page, we got the right information. I guess the big piece of the night, which was the last piece, went for $4,000, which is pretty good. All told, that evening, I'm not sure what they make. Probably $20,000, $30,000. I don't know. People pay for tickets too to go to this. There's an open bar. There's food. It's a very, very big event, and so that's what we were doing on Saturday night, and that was kind of interesting and kind of fun. A little stressful spotting, you know, but after a while I was sort of getting used to it too. So, you know, if I do it again next year or something, I'll have a better idea of what I'm in for. So that was Saturday night. So what's coming up? Well, I've already mentioned I have an art journal class coming up this Sunday. It's a free-for-all, doing mixed media on a Christmas theme. And so we won't be on with Stephen and Walter Live, as I've already mentioned, until about 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, and I'll talk more about that, what happens at that on Stephen and Walter Live next week. And that's it. Can't think of anything else coming up. Besides the usual, you know, sewing classes. That's my life these days. So I hope you have a good week, and we'll see you next week for the vlog, and we'll see you for Stephen and Walter Live, and hopefully the problem will be solved and we won't go into freeze mode on Stephen and Walter Live. Okay, so have a great week. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.